The tighter you hold onto life, the quicker it slips through your fingers. You've probably felt this before. You've experienced those moments when the harder you chase something, the faster it seems to move away from you. It's a strange paradox. This idea that control, the very thing intended to keep you safe and grounded, ends up being precisely what disrupts your peace and sabotages your reality. Consider the man who, by every external measure, has succeeded. He is admired, respected, accomplished, standing atop a carefully constructed mountain of achievements. Yet deep inside, he is not at peace. He's restless, perpetually anxious. He moves through life holding his breath, afraid that if he stops for even a moment, if he loosens his grip, the whole structure will collapse. This man isn't just a metaphor. Perhaps he's you. You recognize him in the quiet moments when your mind won't stop racing, or in the subtle tension behind your smiles. You hold on to your relationships tightly, afraid of losing them. You grip your status, your career, your very identity with a desperate strength, convinced that control is what protects you from becoming irrelevant or left behind. But here's the unsettling truth. The thing you fear losing most might already be slipping away, not despite your efforts, but precisely because of them. What if the real reason things feel so fragile is that your grip is too tight? Pause for a moment and really ask yourself, what if the anxiety, the stress, the subtle dread you carry around every day doesn't come from the outside world at all? What if it comes from your own hands clenched too tightly around life, attempting to control outcomes and steer your future according to a script written out of fear? We live in a culture that worships control. We've been taught from an early age that being in control equals safety and strength, and that losing control means weakness or chaos. But what if we got it all wrong? What if our obsession with controlling everything has quietly turned into a form of emotional self-sabotage? Control, at its core, is an act of fear disguised as strength. You hold on to something because you're afraid of what happens if you don't. You overplan, overanalyze, and overmanage because uncertainty feels like an enemy. But have you ever stopped and truly considered how much invisible weight you carry by trying to control everything? Every thought, every relationship, every goal, every conversation, constantly micromanaged in the hope of preventing pain or loss. You believe you're maintaining stability, but in reality, you're draining yourself of life itself. Every attempt at control adds another invisible weight. Each weight may seem manageable individually, but cumulatively, they create an unbearable pressure. This pressure is precisely what blocks the flow of genuine happiness and authentic connection. Who would you become if you no longer needed to fight to stay relevant or maintain control? When you remove your mask of constant competence and the need to orchestrate every detail, who remains beneath? Perhaps that thought terrifies you, but perhaps it's also a gentle invitation toward freedom. Modern neuroscience helps us understand this clearly. Your brain, specifically through the reticular activating system, RAS, continually filters reality based on your dominant thoughts and beliefs. If you're constantly expecting loss or fearing uncertainty, your brain naturally scans the environment for threats and problems. Without realizing it, you're training yourself to see threats everywhere, reinforcing a cycle of anxiety and control. The very act of gripping so tightly is what causes the reality you're desperately trying to avoid. It's ironic. Your desperate pursuit of control has created precisely the insecurity you sought to eliminate. Your brain, aiming to protect you, creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of anxiety and limitation. You're unknowingly living inside a reality defined by your fears, not your potential. What if real freedom lies not in gaining control, but in relinquishing the need for it? Imagine a river moving steadily toward the ocean. It doesn't need effort or force to get there. It simply flows, trusting the direction it naturally takes. When was the last time you allowed yourself to live like that river? When was the last time you trusted that your life knows exactly where it's going without your constant interference? As strange as it sounds, the moment you stop controlling your story is exactly the moment you become the true author of your reality. Control, paradoxically, prevents you from having genuine authorship over your life, because you spend all your energy maintaining a false narrative. When you finally let go, you discover the immense power in simply being present, no longer bound by scripts born from fear. So, ask yourself honestly, what story about yourself would collapse if you finally let go? Perhaps you believe your value comes solely from your accomplishments. Maybe you think the moment you relax, everything you've worked for will vanish. Or perhaps you're convinced that unless you keep pushing, proving, and protecting, you'll be forgotten. But is this really true? Or is this simply another narrative your fear has created? Consider for a moment how it might feel to drop the heavy stone you've unknowingly carried, the invisible weight of constant control. Feel the relief of releasing your grip, the freedom of allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to trust again. Can you sense how much lighter life could become if you finally stopped fighting against your own natural rhythm? This is not a theoretical shift, it's a profound internal transformation, a radical redefinition of strength. Strength is no longer the desperate grip of control. Rather, it's the quiet courage to release what isn't yours to hold. Think of everything you've achieved through sheer effort, discipline, and control. Now consider this. How much of that achievement has genuinely fulfilled you? Did it bring lasting peace or just temporary relief before your anxiety resurfaced, demanding you grasp even tighter? Your true power emerges not from your ability to hold on tighter, but from your courage to loosen your grasp. And it's not just your external circumstances that change when you let go. Your entire internal landscape begins to shift. You step into a new state of alignment, clarity, and presence. You start noticing opportunities that previously felt invisible. Relationships that previously felt strained begin to breathe freely again, and your creativity naturally resurfaces. Letting go isn't resignation. It's a form of profound personal liberation. You're not passively surrendering your life to chaos. You are actively deciding to live in trust rather than fear. You consciously choose faith in your own inner wisdom over obsessive control of external events. Imagine how different your relationships would feel without the invisible pressure your need for control places on others. How much more authentic would your connections become if you stopped trying to manage how others see you? How might your career or passions flourish if they were guided by inspiration rather than desperation? These are not idle dreams. They become possible when you finally step aside and allow your life to breathe on its own. The shift isn't always immediate or comfortable. Letting go can initially feel like a kind of loss or grief because, in a way, you're losing a familiar part of your identity, the version of you that has always needed control to feel safe. But this loss is actually a profound and necessary release. You're shedding a persona built on fear, revealing the authentic, calm, resilient self beneath, a self capable of true peace, genuine connection, and deep contentment. And here lies the beautiful paradox. The moment you genuinely let go, everything begins to move naturally in your favor. Not because you forced it, but precisely because you've stopped interfering with it. This is the subtle but powerful secret you've perhaps never fully considered. Life has always had its own natural rhythm, an intelligence guiding it quietly beneath the surface. Your constant need to control it, to wrestle it into submission, was never necessary, only exhausting. The exhaustion you feel isn't simply from your daily tasks. It's from constantly resisting the organic unfolding of your own life. Yet, even when we know intellectually that letting go is the path toward peace, something within us still resists. The mind whispers quietly, persistently asking, what happens if everything falls apart? What if I stop trying so hard and nothing remains? These questions are valid. They reflect genuine fears about identity, about worth, and about the deep-seated belief that our value is inherently tied to our ability to manage life's unpredictable elements. And it's precisely in these moments of doubt and fear that real courage is called forth. Not the courage of gripping tighter, but the courage to gently, intentionally release your hold and trust. True letting go doesn't mean you're careless or indifferent. Rather, it means you've recognized a profound truth. Your worth is never actually defined by external circumstances. It was never rooted in how well you could control outcomes, nor was it dependent upon the constant validation of others. Take a moment to ask yourself quietly, what if you already possess everything you need? What if all your frantic searching, all your anxious striving was never truly about external things at all, but about your fear of discovering that you're enough exactly as you are? This realization is what makes letting go both powerful and deeply unsettling. To release your need for control is to directly confront the belief that without constant striving, your life has no meaning. Yet the truth is the opposite. The moment you stop desperately trying to validate your existence through results and external proof, the moment you allow yourself simply to exist, you discover an entirely new kind of peace. You discover presence. Presence isn't passive, it's profoundly alive. It's a state of alignment with your own deepest values, not determined by outer expectations or internal fears. Presence is the simple yet radical act of living each moment fully, without needing it to be anything other than exactly what it is. When you're truly present, life isn't something you control or manage, it's something you experience. What if your life, exactly as it unfolds right now, is already enough? Consider the powerful freedom contained in that thought. How differently would you interact with others if you weren't trying to manage their impressions of you? How authentically could you show up if you weren't constantly editing yourself to meet imagined standards? Letting go redefines strength entirely. True strength isn't clinging desperately to plans and expectations. It's the quiet, steady confidence that, no matter what unfolds, you possess an inner stability that nothing external can truly disturb. You may ask, if I truly let go, how do I know things will turn out okay? The truth is, you don't. But that question itself is anchored in fear. When you let go, you're not asking for guarantees. You're opening yourself to genuine possibility. Life was never meant to be predictable or fully controllable. Its richness comes precisely from its uncertainty. The more you try to box life into carefully planned moments, the less alive it becomes. By releasing control, you begin to experience life as an organic, living process. It's no longer about trying to prove yourself, maintain an image, or hold everything together. It becomes about flowing naturally with circumstances, responding to reality as it arrives, and trusting your own inner guidance. Now imagine stepping into that quiet yet powerful awareness, one in which your sense of peace doesn't hinge upon outcomes, and your confidence doesn't depend on maintaining a facade. Imagine becoming so aligned with the present moment that the anxious internal monologue you've lived with for years finally quiets, replaced by a calm, steady voice of genuine inner knowing. This is what real alignment feels like. It's not a grand revelation or a dramatic event. Rather, it's a gentle, ongoing recognition that you are enough right now. That the present moment holds everything you've been desperately seeking in external validation. When you let go of control, you finally become the true architect of your life. Not by forcing outcomes, but by clearly and calmly deciding how you'll respond to whatever life brings your way. Your intuition sharpens because it's no longer drowned out by anxious thoughts. Your interactions deepen because they're no longer driven by hidden fears or quiet desperation. Consider carefully the relationships you've held too tightly, The career goals you've pursued with frantic determination, or the personal standards you've enforced on yourself to maintain control. Ask honestly, did holding on so tightly truly serve you, or did it quietly, invisibly drain you? The freedom found in letting go isn't the freedom of abandoning effort. It's the freedom from the anxiety that has long accompanied your efforts. You're no longer carrying the invisible weight of constant worry, and that alone makes space for genuine joy, creativity, and fulfillment. But there's another deeper truth hidden in this process. Letting go is often described as if it's a single defining moment, but that's rarely how it actually happens. Instead, letting go is a continuous practice, a quiet, ongoing choice you make in every situation. It's a daily decision, sometimes even moment by moment. It's gently noticing when you're gripping too tightly again, taking a deep breath, and consciously choosing trust over control, openness over fear. When you do this, your life begins to shift not dramatically, but subtly, gradually, and beautifully. People around you sense your authenticity. Opportunities present themselves with surprising ease, not because you force them, but because you're no longer blocking their arrival. Life feels lighter, conversations feel more genuine, your energy feels replenished rather than depleted. Yet, even as your external circumstances subtly begin to change, the most profound transformation occurs within. You discover an unshakable inner peace, not dependent on circumstances aligning perfectly, but anchored deeply within your own quiet confidence and genuine trust in life itself. Eventually, letting go moves from a conscious practice to a natural state of being. You no longer feel the urge to grip tightly because you've experienced firsthand that life moves more gracefully when you allow it to unfold freely. You realize that life doesn't need your constant management. It simply requires your presence, your openness, and your willingness to trust its inherent wisdom. And ultimately, perhaps the greatest gift of letting go is this realization: nothing was ever truly yours to control in the first place. The beauty, richness, and meaning of life never came from your ability to manage outcomes. They always existed within you, quietly waiting for you to discover them beneath the noise of your anxiety and fear. The moment you finally trust this, everything changes. You begin living in genuine alignment, not occasionally, but consistently. Your interactions deepen, your experiences become richer, your creativity flows effortlessly, and your peace feels unshakable. And through this profound shift, you find yourself fully awake, fully alive, not because you finally controlled your reality, but precisely because you stopped needing to. Letting go isn't the end of effort. It's the beginning of real freedom. It's not giving up your desires. It's the discovery that what's truly meant for you doesn't require force to keep. It's about trading frantic control for steady, authentic presence, and discovering in that quiet exchange that your life becomes more than you ever thought possible. So ask yourself now, one last time, honestly and deeply, what does your life look like if you finally stop gripping so tightly? What becomes possible if you live each moment fully, without constantly worrying about the next? Who do you become when you trust that you're enough exactly as you are, right here, right now? The moment you answer these questions truthfully is the moment your true life begins. A life not built from control and anxiety, but from the profound inner peace that comes only from letting go. And perhaps you'll finally realize the life you've been seeking was never something you could grasp. It was something you always held within yourself, waiting quietly for you to simply open your hands and let it be. If this resonated, share below. What's one thing you're finally ready to let go of? Your story might help someone else realize they're not alone. And if you're committed to continuing this journey of inner clarity and peace, like and subscribe. Let's move forward together.